Hello, hello. I'm here. Hey, Alex, what's going on? I think this is working. It's probably some sort of delay. The uh, the YouTubes can be pretty frustrating at times. All right, cool. So you guys see that I'm here. Great. Can you hear me? Everything good? Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised about how well the that live stream went. I was kind of nervous at first because I thought that I wouldn't have any ideas or anything to you know anything to write, because sometimes you just sit down in front of a computer or sit down with a guitar and you're like, okay, I'm going to write something now, and it just like nothing comes out at all whatsoever. So um, I was very pleasantly surprised with how well the live stream went yesterday, and uh, think we ended up creating a pretty cool little track. So I went back and listened to it a little bit today, and got some ideas for like vocal melodies and structures and stuff. So I think it's going to be something that something that I finish, because sometimes you put down ideas and they never go anywhere. But I think what was really cool with the live stream though was that I was sort of on the spot, in the sense that I couldn't I didn't have the luxury of second guessing myself, if that makes any sense. So it's like when you're just alone in the studio with yourself, you just kind of go, oh yeah, I guess that could be better. That could be better. And you start like trying to fiddle with stuff, and you end up uh, basically like overworking an idea until it just sort of sucks. Um, so being there in the live stream on the spot, sort of like, okay, you just have to put this idea down. Does it sound cool? Okay, it's cool enough. You can't wonder whether or not it's your Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Hey, hey, Kay. I hope everybody's having a lovely Saturday afternoon or evening, or whatever it is in your time zone. Alex, you're in Spain, I think. Elodia, you're in Russia. Kay, I think you're not in my time zone either, are you? Well, either way, I hope you're all having a lovely whatever time of day it is. Um, Live streaming is a bit stressful. Yeah, it it actually wasn't too much this, like, once I got going, because I was, like I said, I was nervous at first. I wasn't sure if it was going to go well, but once like things just started moving, I was like, yeah, this is pretty easy. And then I just kind of got into the flow of it, and uh, didn't worry too much after that. Um, it was kind of interesting, like narrating everything that I was doing, because I never really think about it. Like I just kind of do it on autopilot, and you're never really conscious of what you're doing and why. And when you've got an audience, you're just sitting there sort of explaining it, and you're like, oh, that does kind of make sense why I do this, or you just like never take the time to articulate it to yourself. So sometimes you don't even fully understand why it is you do what you do. It's uh it's interesting. I'm sick in bed. I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. I fucking hate being sick. I hope you feel better soon. It is really awful. I'm pretty hungover because I went to the Grendel show last night, and I was like, I'm not gonna get drunk. I'm just gonna have a beer or two. But people just kept putting shots in my hand, and I just kept drinking them, and I got to this point where I realized I was so fucking drunk that I couldn't even say goodbye to people. So I just literally walked out the door and called an Uber and was like, I'm going home. And my phone just started blowing up. All right, did you leave? Did you leave? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm fucking too drunk. I gotta go. Uh, oh, I have a little guest who is always a bit camera shy, but she's rubbing on my leg as I talk to you guys. I think she wants attention. I think she wants me to get off the computer and yeah, put all my focus on her. Did you hear about the beer that some Swede invented that prevents hangovers? I've not heard about that. We have a lot of like over the counter crap, like if you go to a liquor store at the cash register, there's always like hangover cure, blah blah blah, contains these vitamins and this and this and that, and they always taste like shit and they never work. Uh, I think probably the best way to avoid hangovers is to not drink vodka. Ugh. Um, what do I drink these days? I'm mostly just drinking beer and wine. I kind of got, I don't know, like hard liquor just sort of lost its allure, I guess. I mean, I still like whiskey. I still like drinking bourbon every now and then, but it's just like when I go out somewhere, if I'm drinking hard liquor, it's like you just get you just get fucking annihilated so fast, and it's awful. It's like so bad, and I hate being that drunk now. Um, so now when I go out, I just usually drink beer, but that makes you fat. So I got to go running more. The skull on the wall, is that from Till Death? Yeah, it is actually. I ordered the skull itself, like the the deer skull. I ordered it on eBay, and then my wife got the mount, and she also got the rose petals. She dried them, and then she put them in resin, and kind of like and then stained the mount. And yeah, she's the one that made it look really cool. So I just had the fucking skull, and then she's like, no, we can make it cooler. So that was that was good on her part, because I think it wouldn't look nearly as cool if I had been in charge of it. uh the trick is that they put a lot of natural plants that, in theory, mitigate the effects of the hangover. I'm really curious about this beer. I would absolutely like to try it, and I have friends in Sweden, so maybe they can hook me up with it. If you know the name, let me know. Like, send me a Patreon, or send me a private message in the Patreon system, and I'll check it out and see if I can't get some. Did you watch Good Omens, or is it still on your watch list? Unfortunately, it is still on my watch list. I don't know if you can see like how utterly destroyed my apartment is, but I haven't really had time to watch anything. I mostly am just like working and then packing till it's till it's time for bed, or until I'm just so exhausted I can't do it anymore. Um, yeah. So I'm not really watching anything. We actually started Stranger Things season 3, and we got like 2 episodes in, and we just haven't watched anymore because we have not had the opportunity. So uh, I think once we get over to Europe next week, will settle in a bit and hopefully have some time to relax because lately it's just go, 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 go. Last time I drank rum and for some reason it tasted like brandy. I can see that because they're both like so sweet, right? Um, I like I only drink brandy when I'm on a plane because for some reason they always like bring brandy around to you after the meal. So I always drink it because when I'm on a plane I can never turn down alcohol. So because I hate flying. Drank a lot in my days, mostly whiskey. Could call me Whisk Alex, but not anymore. If I drink half a beer, everything spins hard. Yeah, like it's like I can hang with beer. Still, like I can drink. I think last night I had 3 beers, but then I drank that fourth one. So I drank 4 beers and I had 2 shots, and I was like floored. Like gotta go. Um, I think that just happens as you get older, right? Just cannot cannot drink like you used to in your 20s, and then the fucking hangovers suck too. Just like when you're 20, you wake up hungover and you're like, oh, I don't feel good. Okay, well let's go eat and then let's you know go running or fucking whatever. And you're just fine within an hour, and then in your 30s you just wake up and you hate life for 2 days, and then ask yourself why you ever drank in the first place. Austria, what's that like? Austria, not kidding. Yep, she's not. And now she's scratching the chair. Good thing I'm throwing it away. Um, what is Austria like? Austria is so different from LA. Um, we're actually moving to a very very small village, which has a population of 1,200 people. So it is going to be quite the adjustment between LA, which has something like 13 million, 12, 13 million. So yeah, 12 million to 1,200. That's a bit of culture shock. It's nice though. I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be cool to finally be somewhere where I feel like I can relax because LA is just so um, it's just so go go go. Like your fucking phone is just ringing all the time. Hey, come and do this. Hey, blah blah blah. And over there, it's just it's slower. People can text me all they want. Hey, come to this bar. Hey, come to this show. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm I'm 6,000 kilometers away. I can't. So that'll be nice. I don't want poor students to pay me $50 a month. I feel really really bad when people support me if they're unable to do it. So please, you got to focus on yourself more than me. I'm gonna be quite all right. I promise. I really really appreciate the support, but I think it's more important that people look out for themselves and keep their priorities straight because it's like you can you can derail your life pretty quickly if you're not paying close enough attention. So please take care of yourself. Don't worry about me. Um, and yeah, I saw that things were getting kind of rough for you the last what like week or two, and man, I sympathize. know exactly what what that's like, and I know what it's like to feel like you want to drink to make it better, but it just doesn't. Maybe helps you like when you start drinking, but then I don't know if you noticed after a while you just start feeling worse than you did because now you're drunk, and being drunk just like amplifies all your emotions, and it just gets really shitty really fast. So I try to only drink when I'm in a good mood because then it amplifies the good mood, right? But if I'm in a shitty mood and I drink, I just feel like really shitty. So please take care of yourself. That's priority one, you know. What? No. It's trying to chew through the cable. You really want attention, don't you? Ah, cat. Here. This is like her favorite toy. It's just a twist tie. Take it. That ought to appease her for a minute. Paying you is better than buying and drinking alcohol. Well, I think you could probably get a lot of alcohol for $50 if you buy the really, really cheap stuff, especially in Russia. Like vodka is really cheap. It's, I went to a, although I went to a wedding in the Ukraine. Fuck, this must have been 10 years ago now, and the father of the bride was one of the richest men in Odessa. So like they flew us out to Odessa, and the wedding there were like politicians, and it was just the most insane and extravagant like thing I had ever seen. The groom rode in on a horse, and the guest book was like a human with like a she just had like a table built into her dress, and the guest book was on top of that table, and she was just walking around like sign your guest book, sign your guest book, and every table had a bottle of vodka on it that cost 150 euros. And every time that bottle was gone, you would blink and somebody would come over and just put another bottle back on the table. And it was just, at the time I was super poor back then, so it was just like the decadence was shocking, and I will never ever ever forget that. Okay. If you could talk to Freddie Mercury or Jimmy Page, I'm actually more of a Robert Plant guy because he was the singer, right? But yeah, I do like Jimmy Page. Uh, if you could do that, wouldn't you do it? From my point of view, it's mind blowing being able to talk to my favorite musician. I think when I was younger, it was like that. Um, but when I got a little bit more, let's say like success isn't the right word, but as the band started taking me more places and I started getting to actually like meet my idols, I was always disappointed. Like everybody that I fucking met was just awful, and so I'm actually a pretty firm believer in the "don't meet your idols" rule because I think I think musicians are uniquely prone to problems of like ego and say a disconnection from reality, all that kind of stuff. I think you need to have those qualities in order to be a successful musician because it is just such a weird environment to live in. Um, so I just always ended up regretting meeting all those people because they were just terrible. Um, so I think it would I think what I love most is actually YouTube because you get to see like really articulate people that are able to communicate like I tips about songwriting, about business, about like whatever topic you want. That's what I really like, and I'm much more interested in digging into the details of this stuff than like talking to egotistical assholes that don't even really understand uh, really much of anything. And you know what is surprising is that so many musicians that I meet are actually like shitty musicians. You're just like kind of surprised by how like bad they are at guitar or singing or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? Yeah. Um, so that's my really like long rambling way of saying I don't know. Maybe it would be cool to talk to Freddie Mercury, but he was probably a goddamn handful. And I know I used to be that way too. But meeting all those people was just sort of like it set an example for the type of person I don't want to be. So I think that that helped me become who I am now, which is, I try to be uh, open and transparent and friendly because it's just uh, this music thing is great because it helps a lot of people and there's a lot of let's say like people have very sort of unrealistic, not unreal, what am I trying to say, um, music is really really important to people and it affects them probably more than any other art form. It's just such a universal thing, and I think that we need more musicians to be understanding of that and uh, you know help people be more than just like the creator of the music. It's like you should be there and talk to your fans and listen to them and understand what it is they're going through and how your work helps them and relates to them and all of that kind of stuff. So I think musicians need to be more than just musicians in that sense. I guess I'm hungover. I'm rambling. Okay, so awful, awful in what way? They're just assholes. Hey man, I love your music. Yeah, of course you do. That type of thing. Or you're backstage and you see the way some musician treats girls, which is it's like ugh. It's yeah, that always like bothered me the most, like seeing the way male musicians treated women. Um, yeah, and just all that, yeah, all of that kind of stuff is just it never sat right with me because I was just never uh, I don't know. I grew up in a world where you were taught to be nice to people and nice to women, and it didn't matter how successful you were. Like everybody deserved to be treated with respect and honesty. There's so much dishonesty in the scene in the music world. It's like people trying to take advantage of one another, people trying to like people only interested in money, and it's all of it. Just it's dark, man. It's dark. Okay. Have you ever been starstruck? Yes, I've been starstruck, and then I've immediately like not like regretted it. I mean, I believe me, I was the guy that would go up and stand in line to take pictures with my favorite bands and get autographs and all of that kind of stuff, and that was I did all that stuff, so I know what it's like to be on the other side of it, and I always try to remember what it felt like and how nervous I was to go up and ask for that autograph or that picture or whatever, and so you know I it's something to be mindful of when people are asking that kind of stuff of me, right? It's like, of course you can have a picture, of course you can have an autograph, of course I want to hear about how my music uh, has helped you and you know made your life better because That's fucking great. That's always great. Okay, so off the shitty dark musician stuff. uh, mead. You are asking about mead. Uh, so after hearing you mention your wife's mead, I had to try some. Probably nowhere in the same boat, but not my cup of tea. Keep in mind, I have no idea what I'm looking for. The majority of the mead that you can buy, like in a grocery store, if you're lucky enough to find any, is going to be gross. Um, because the mead that you get at grocery stores or like the goth music festivals in Germany always sell it, but it's super sweet and it's like syrupy and it's not great. Like there's mead can be so many different things. It's like wine because it is wine, right? Like uh, except it's just fermented honey and water. So a lot of people think that it's actually the uh, first ever alcohol because um, they found traces of it in clay pots dating back to I want to say the Neil. I think that's really fucking far. It's like 6,000 years old. So they think that mead is the first actual real alcoholic beverage that people made. Um, but like wine, you can get so many different varieties of it. You can just make it in any way you want. You can make it sweet. You can make it dry. You can make it uh, like sort of herbal. You can make it weird and funky and tangy and all that stuff. And so my wife actually like really tries to make everything, uh, and and it is certainly something that is different at first. But most people don't like wine when they try it first or when they drink beer. You need to sort of have like that Rosetta Stone, like that one beer or that one wine that like unlocks it all for you. Um, so for me, she made this. It's called a session mead, so it's got like low alcohol and it's sparkling. And the one that she made it with champagne yeast, and so it actually tasted like champagne, and it was really just fucking incredible. Like I can't even describe it. You just have to taste it. So uh, uh, I would recommend going and finding some small meaderies. Like there are some here in Southern California, and there's actually a lot of them in Michigan, which is interesting. So uh, I would try that stuff, and then see if there's something more to your liking. And if you know what kind of what like wine or beer you like you can use that flavor profile to figure out what kind of mead you might be interested in. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, syrup indeed, and was weird going down. That is like it's not the good stuff. And the stuff that they sell at the festivals is like terrible. It's called Vikingerblut, so it's like Viking's blood, and it's like bright red, and it just tastes like uh, I don't know if you're American, right? So you know what grenadine is. It's like fucking alcoholic grenadine. It's nasty, but I drink it every time just because it's funny. I don't know. I tend to like punishing myself with awful alcohols sometimes. So uh, yeah, I I always buy it. It's so fucking gross, and and even worse, you can drink it out of horns. So they'll sell like actual like ram or whatever like goat horns, um, and then you like you drink the meat out of the goat horn, and the goat horn just it's like a fucking fingernail, right? So it tastes like fingernails. If you've ever bit your nails, you know what that tastes like. It's just, ugh, so gross, so gross. Ugh. Grenadine with tequila? Oh. Ugh. Well, if you can drink dry wine, you can absolutely find a dry mead. And when my wife gets home, I will actually ask her if she can recommend one, uh, and and I will try to remember to let you know what that is, and maybe we can find a mead for you, that Rosetta Stone. I love your wife. Yes, I do. I do love my wife too. She's pretty awesome. Oh, okay. This is an interesting one. With the news about sending a new moon expedition, why is there no mapping of our oceans yet? Uh, uh, well, that's an interesting question to ask a musician. Uh, I usually do follow this kind of stuff because I think it's pretty interesting, but I was not aware that we are planning another moon expedition. I thought, isn't everybody just like focused on? Isn't everybody just like focused on Mars right now? Like, I and I thought the oceans had been mapped. I just thought they hadn't really properly been like investigated, and it is my understanding that it's easier to deal with the vacuum of space than the pressures underneath the ocean, right? Because it's like they've only got some, like a handful of submersibles that can really go down to, like, the bottom of the Mariana Trench, Marian's Trench, uh, and and those submersibles, they never like stay down there for very long, right? It's like you go down, it's a few hours, and then you got to come back. There's no like bathrooms or sleeping quarters. I mean, I don't know. This is just kind of what I remember based on the documentaries that I've watched about whatever that director is that went down there. What's his fucking name? James Cameron. Yeah, not making not making Terminator anymore. I'm gonna just go down to the bottom of the ocean. So that's pretty much all I know about that. I do find these things interesting, and I love watching documentaries about them. Uh, so I'm curious about the moon expeditions, if that's going to happen. Elodia, when we finally make it to Russia, hopefully soon, you should bring me just a little snifter, a little taste of your dad's moonshine. I'm really quite curious. It's probably like crazy intense. All of the stuff at the bottom of the ocean is crazy. Like that, what's it called? Deep sea gigantism, where they have those like gross little parasite things that are just enormous and look like the little parasites from uh, Pacific Rim that are all over the the whatever the monsters are called. Kaiju. There you go. Yes, yes. All right, so Kay, you had a question that you asked on Patreon, didn't you? And for some reason, I'm spacing on it. Uh, I think I'm just too hungover for my brain to work properly. It's why I'm not finding words. Why I just like stop and go for a second. It's like a glitch in the processing. Terrible, terrible. Oh, the moonshine is not intense. I always just imagine moonshine as being like tasting like drinking benzene or something, right? It's like the way it's portrayed, the moonshine that people make like in the American South or the Appalachians. It's just like, like paint thinner that's just gonna strip the varnish off your table or something like that. Yes, Pacific Rim. I That's probably my favorite modern movie. Like, or at least like my, there's always like an action movie that comes out every few years that is just, for some reason, you just, at least for me, watch it over and over and over again. I've seen Pacific Rim like 10 times, and I don't know why. I can't fucking get enough of it. It's like even my favorite movies I don't watch as much as I watch Pacific Rim, so I guess Pacific Rim is really a favorite movie. Your father's moonshine looks like vodka but tastes like whiskey. That's interesting. Because whiskey tastes the way that it does because it's aged in barrels, right? Um, and that's what gives it the color. There is clear whiskey, but it's aged in steel, so it's got a totally different flavor profile. So I'm curious in what ways the moonshine tastes like whiskey because if it's clear, then it's not aged in barrels, and if it's not aged in barrels, then it doesn't have that sort of like woody, smoky sort of character. We've talked about where you drew from growing up, and was wondering if anyone sparked your interest these days. What do you mean by anyone? Like if going through uh, sort of my past stuff has sparked any inspiration, or it's uh, it's sort of interesting going back and looking at all that stuff and trying to remember all that stuff. After I made that post, I actually went back and found that dude Joe from Proteus and added him on Facebook. It was just kind of like weird to. Uh, it was really weird to revisit that. Um, but I'm really hoping that we can do the Close to Human reboot next year because I kind of feel like that album was cool, but the songs just didn't get. I mean, it sucks to have lost it, which means I can't ever recreate. I can't recreate the album the way that I did with Blood Spills because I had all of the original files, right? But it's I feel like those songs just never got really the chance to shine in the way that they could because I re-listened to it not too long ago and I was like, this is a pretty decent album. Um, so I'm hoping that we can get enough supporters to make it uh, financially possible to do the reboot because I'll have to take like 2 months or whatever to focus on doing it and manufacture it and artwork and all mastering all that kind of stuff. Um, but if I can afford to do it, I really want to do it, and I think that it would be cool to kind of dig through all of the demos, and I have so many like photos and videos of shows and all this kind of stuff that would be just I think fun to dig up and kind of use to kind of channel that mindset again because I haven't thought like 2005 Daniel in 15 years, right? 14 years. So it's it's kind of hard to put yourself in that place again. But I think it would be a really fun and worthwhile experiment. That is a very interesting dream, Alex. I often have strange dreams like that, but I can guarantee that I'm usually wearing more than just socks and underwear. when I'm doing the dishes. I actually hate uh, running around like without socks or shoes. Um, and I try to wear my shoes in the house all the time. My wife gets super pissed because she's European and you don't wear your shoes in the house, and I'm American and you absolutely wear your shoes in the house. Like you never take your fucking shoes off. Um, yeah, uh, I'm actually wearing shoes right now, but my wife is not home, so I can get away with it. However, I'm quite certain that the second she comes home, she's going to be like, "Why? Why are you wearing shoes?" And I would have politely escorted you out, but not with a disgusted face. I'd probably just be shocked that somebody knew where I lived. I always worry about like I always worried about that. Actually, no, I never worried about that until I started getting death threats. So then I'm gonna make sure not to let anyone know where I'm living in Austria. No more death threats, please. I'm American and I hate shoes in the house. Yeah, I mean, I get it. You know, it's kind of gross, especially if you're tracking in whatever whatever you've collected on your shoes on the outside. But I don't know, like I hate the feeling of not having shoes on. So it's like I have slippers, but they're not super comfortable, and I always like lose them. so whenever I come home, I just never take my shoes off until my wife tells me to take them off. Oh, I've never been in the States. Yeah, it's cool. I like it here. Uh, but Spain is pretty nice too, man. I mean, you've got similar weather. I like warmth. I like the beach. I don't like cold. So it's like despite being goth, I love the sun and I hate the cold. I like long days. What I hate most about Europe is the short days, right? It's like, oh. I mean, obviously there are long days in summer, which is nice, but it's like in winter in Europe is just straight up hell. Whoa. Have you ever had stalker problems? I I haven't really had any. Well, actually, no. Yeah, I have actually. I have um, a guy that's really unwell in Germany, and he threatens to kill me, and threatens to kill my wife, and threatens to kill fans, and all this kind of stuff. And it's really strange. I have a restraining order against him, but he would show up to like DJ gigs and shows, and before like I would get like these death threats online, and then meet this person in public and not know that this was the same guy. So it was like this guy would be writing me saying, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," blah 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 blah. But then he would come to shows and be like, "Hey Daniel," and buy me drinks and stuff like that. And it was only when I put two and two together that I like actually got really worried, and so I got a restraining order against him, and I have a big buff strong lawyer in Germany who is very imposing looking, and he actually met him once outside of a club and was like, "You gotta fucking go," and he absolutely did leave. I think you're the only musician I'm obsessed with, but not crazy obsessed with, without dreams, weird thoughts, etc. I don't know if I should be happy about that or offended that I don't get the crazy weird dreams. Oh man, this is a yeah. I have a very weird job. What do you do for a living? Oh well, I make music and I talk to fans on live streams about my stalkers, and their dreams where they come into my house and I'm doing the dishes. It's like that's so wild, so weird. Ah. Have you ever tasted Spanish wines? Of course. I like Spanish wines a lot. Tempranillo, Garnacha, it's good stuff. Um, I actually just did a wine tasting last week for Spanish wines, and it was only northern Spain. I guess it's called the Green area. Forget what it. Forget exactly what it is, but it's near the Basque region, and some of the wines were actually from the Basque country. Uh, but yeah, so it was like this wine tasting that was only focused on that stuff, and some of, I mean, it just didn't taste like anything that you would sort of like uh, uh, associate like with this standard like Tempranillo or Garnacha, whatever. It's pretty cool. So I've been thinking about doing a VIP package for your show, but don't want to embarrass myself in front of you. Believe me, there's very few things that somebody could do to embarrass themselves in front of me because I'm incredibly embarrassing. I'm a klutz. I drop stuff. I trip and I fall, and yeah. So come and be a VIP. I promise it will not. You have nothing to worry about. I don't think you'd want me to have dreams about you. Like, no. Plus, you're married. Well, hey, I don't know what the content of these dreams are. Maybe you're just coming into my house and I'm doing the dishes. That's totally okay, right? It's not violating the vows of my marriage. Hi, Glee. Yes, I'm glad you were able to make it. At least you have Mara for comfort. Yeah, she's comforting sometimes. Sometimes other times not. She likes being sweet about half the time, and then the other half she's just kind of bitchy. But I guess that's cats for you, right? I usually don't even remember my dreams, to be honest. The only dream that I can remember recently was my personal trainer looks like he would have been in the movie 300, right? Like, so he's just like huge and like strong jaw, very very sort of like Mediterranean looking, and he's got like this big fucking beard. And in my dream, I showed up for my training, and he looked like sad Thor from the last Avengers movie. So he just had like the like long scraggly hair, and his beard was all unkempt, and he was just kind of like fat and like, Brian, what happened to you? And that's all I that's all I really remember. And that was over a week ago. So it's like I very often, I mean, I must have dreams, but I don't remember them. I usually wake up like with ideas, just like thoughts in my head, like, so I'll roll out of bed and be like, oh, I have this song idea, and I write it down real quick. Yeah, I have a trainer because you know it gets harder and harder to stay in shape the older you get, and I think uh, it takes a lot of time and focus to sort of put together a proper like training regimen, and to understand how to properly do movements, and how they benefit you and all this kind of stuff, because I went to the gym for years and I didn't know what I was doing, right? It's like, okay, I'm working out, right? This is doing stuff. And I didn't have like any sort of uh see, there we go. There was the brain fart. There was the glitch. um you don't know how to do it properly, and you're hurting yourself, and or you're doing it properly, but you don't know how to like take it to the next step, all that kind of stuff. So I my wife got me the trainer because I'd been like talking about it for years, and she got him for me for my birthday, which sounds weird, but yeah. So she got me the him for like, I don't know, like got some set of 4 lessons or something like that. But I was like, nope, love him. Stuck with him for like the last 2 years, and it's amazing. And I'm really really sad to leave him because he's just the shit. So hopefully I can find somebody as good in Austria, but they certainly won't be 7 minutes away. Like the guy is just down the street from me. And it's awesome. Yes, Fat Thor Trader is funny. Our cats should get together and go bowling. I'm not. Do they have bowling balls that work with cat paws? I'm trying to figure out the physics of this. Yep, my wife did buy me a man. It was very, very funny. All right. So, we got about 8 minutes left here. Is there anything you guys want to go over or talk about for the last few minutes? I uh, I can feel my brain beginning to melt because man, I'm just way too hungover. But I'm drinking coffee, so that kind of helps. Uh, but sometimes it makes you feel worse. Like you get the muscle cramps, or at least I get muscle cramps if I drink too much coffee when I'm hungover. I'm just like, have you ever met Brian Erickson? And discovered your music through his. I have met Brian. Yes. I met him once, actually, in person, or twice, maybe. I met him in Germany and I met him in Canada. Uh, I grew, I grew up like being a real big fan of Velvet Christ because I loved Fun with Knives. It's still like a super awesome album. Um, but Brian and I got into like we became like internet enemies and like would spar back and forth, and like this was back in the day when I was not as pleasant on the internet as I am now. It's like at some point I realized that I was just putting out like just a fucking fuck ton of negativity, and it was hurting me, like my mental state, and it was like hurting my career. And it just at some point I was like, man, I gotta cut this shit out. Uh, so that's kind of what prompted me to be the way that I am now. Uh, but yeah, so like Brian was Brian was the victim of some of my internet assholeness, and I'm sure he can tell you all about it. Uh, we just talked recently about that guy that yeah sent me that message like fucking kill yourself or whatever. I guess he's a friend of Brian's, so I was like, that's that's interesting. Uh, yeah, but I like Velvet Acid Christ. I'm fine with Brian. I'm not gonna be a dick to him anymore. Tea, always go with tea. I usually go with tea, but we're trying to get rid of everything in the house. Um, so there's no tea left, and I can't buy any more tea because it's just gonna go to waste. So I'm just getting rid of all the tea or getting rid of all the coffee that we have as well. Yeah, I actually ever since I got all my stomach problems, I pretty much cut out coffee, and I only started drinking it this week when I ran out of tea. I don't have any social media, well, except for Patreon. Lucky you. uh, like social media is weird thing. Like it's just such a great tool for artists like myself. Like it's a way to engage. It's a way to connect. Like obviously, I wouldn't have any of this if it weren't for social media, and I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with my fans without it because it's just it makes it easy to reach out and connect, and it's just so awesome. But it is also so fucking toxic and terrible and addictive, and it's just like the moment that you get bored, it's like pick up your phone, check social media, put it down. 2 minutes later, anything else? Anything change in the last 2 minutes? It's like it's just it's awful, and I think that if I could unplug from it, I would, at least for a while. But I can't really do it. I mean, when I actually I did do it, when I went into the black, that was actually quite refreshing. Just I logged out of social media on all my devices and just resisted the urge. It was good, but I think it would be nice to just like literally unplug and not deal with any of it for a while. So maybe one day. I'm thinking about how I can unplug for like the next record. I mean, this is a ways off, but I'd like to I'd like to rent a house in Croatia and just not be on the internet for like a month. It'd be really really cool. I mean, it'd be even better if I could go without a fucking computer, but it's not. Can't write music without a computer anymore. So yeah. I only use social media to stalk you, Daniel. Well, that's at least that seems like a good use for it. Face to face interaction is absolutely essential. And it's funny as like ever since social media, or like let's not just social media, but it's like nobody talks on the phone anymore. It's always just like text and chats and all this kind of stuff. Uh, I'm trying to actually use the phone more. So it's like it's kind of nice because it's a lot faster than fucking trying to text with people back and forth. It's like, hey, jump on the call, let's talk for 10 minutes. Okay, done. Uh, I like using the phone again. It's quite. Maybe I'm just old. I'm probably just old, and my brain farted again. All right, guys. I think I have expelled all of the brain power that I have today. Uh, I will very likely be useless for the rest of the day. So that's not good because I got a lot of shit to do. I've got to take all of my stuff to the warehouse and tour prep and just oh my god, terrible. But I'll find a way to get it done. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for tolerating my hungover self. It's never easy uh, to tolerate me when I'm hungover. So give yourself a round of applause. Um, yes, of course I'm here despite the hangover. I think it's really really good to schedule this stuff now. So it's like it's in my fucking calendar, and it's like it's just something that has to get done, and I think it's going to be a lot um, easier now. So, uh, you know, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, talking to me, tolerating me. Thank you all for your support. I can't say it enough that it is really what makes me and this band and project and life and everything possible. And I'm forever grateful for it and for you guys. And I hope you guys have a lovely Saturday, evening, day, whatever it is in your time zone. And let's do this again soon. Bye, guys.